It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in on a gorgeous, going to be hot Friday. If I can, please allow me to steal the great Jack Buck's line. I can't believe what I just saw. Holy smokes, a comeback for the ages last night. In case you missed it, the Grizzlies were down 26. They were down 25 with 3 minutes and 11 seconds left in the third quarter. The Grizzlies came back in one of the most outrageous comebacks, certainly the best in their franchise history for the playoffs. One of the great comebacks of all time for the franchise. One of the great collapses, I think. Now, look, this happened the other way. A few years ago, the Grizzlies blew a 27-point lead to the L.A. Clippers. Lost the game, lost their soul, their hearts. And I got a feeling that's what's going to happen with Minnesota, too. It's hard to come back when you blow a lead like they did. A 21-0 run in this game. J-Mo, how many timeouts should Chris Finch have called in a 21-0 run? You're a coach. How many timeouts?
I think certainly that's it. I think certainly call a timeout at some point, at least one. But also, it's they got to figure it out too. These are professional players. That's really on the players. You got to get that figured out at some point.
It is on the players to a certain extent. I agree with you there. They don't play smart, but I think that goes back to coaching. And I don't see how you could go through a 21-0 run and not call one timeout. I will give Chris Finch a lot of credit that he's put these pieces together, and they did gel. They have come together. He's made Anthony Edwards a much better player. Cat continues to be a really good player. D'Angelo Russell on his third team finally seems to be fitting in. But they do some stupid things. He allows players to play with foul trouble to get in bigger foul trouble. I watched that in the play-in game, and he got away with it there. Last night, though, that took the cake. 21-0 run, 26-4 run, but a 21-0 run without using a timeout? Oh, my gosh, steady your ship. Tell your guys, we're okay. They just imploded. And so I'm going back and forth between TNT and Valley Sports. I don't know how many times Brevin Knight said they need a timeout. He's got to call the time. I mean, it was pretty darn evident. And I haven't seen any of the Minnesota newspapers today, but I would imagine that Chris Finch has to be taking some heat. So the Grizzlies end up not only winning the game, but almost by double digits. 104-95, what looked to be Minnesota holding serve to keep home court advantage and go up 2-1. Now it goes the other way, and the Grizzlies are up 2-1. And I would have to think they have snatched the heart and soul away from the Minnesota Timberwolves that thought this game was theirs. Karl Anthony Towns was surly in the press conference afterwards, wouldn't answer any questions. Somebody asked him, "You only took 4 field goal attempts." Next question. Didn't want to answer it. Morant had a triple-double. Desmond Bane was the one consistent offensive player the whole night. 7 threes, 26 points. You're talking about the stars, though. The guys that really won it down the stretch when they went on that run to take over the game. That is Tyus Jones, who hit a huge 3, but came in and played with Ja. That was a really good adjustment by Taylor Jenkins down the stretch. And then Brandon Clark. Brandon Clark helped, like Xavier Tillman did in Game 2. Clark cleaned things up in Game 3, did not miss a free throw, and had follow-up points off offensive rebounds that kept to increase the lead when the Grizzlies finally took it over for the first time down the stretch. It was incredible what occurred.
And when Brandon Clark gets to his spot in there, he is so consistent. A little pogo stick floater shot he gets to, like a foot in the paint, like right in front of the rim. It seems automatic. It's incredible to watch. And like you mentioned, the physicality being able to play that way. But you mentioned Karl Anthony Towns, too, and like his demeanor in the press conference afterwards and taking forward field goals. And you didn't even mention how quickly this guy fouls. Gets 5 fouls every game. I cannot stand Karl Anthony Towns. It speaks to his immaturity, the way he acts in the press conference, the way he plays on the floor. How is someone, being great is not for everybody, Dave. I mean, this guy is one of the most skilled players I've ever seen. Greatness isn't for everybody, though. Takes more than just being skilled.
That's an interesting point. So what you're saying, I think, when you make a comment like that, is the guy has all the physical tools. He does not have the mental fortitude. And there are some people that are afraid of success, that when they get to that precipice, they dwell more on failing and that fear of failure than just putting it all out there and being mentally strong and going for it. Maybe that is Karl Anthony Towns. I really don't know. I do know some of these guys, and you watch them in their press conferences, they seem to be, and maybe because the league has gotten younger, they seem to be less mature emotionally than veterans of the past. I don't believe you would have ever seen Michael Jordan react to some of these questions the way the Triple J does or the way that Karl Anthony Towns has. They're younger. They get 1 year of college instead of 3 or 4 like Michael Jordan had. And I don't know what it is, but there seems to be a lack of overall worldly sense. That's the best way I can put it.
And specifically with the media, a lot of times they treat the media like they're the enemy. And I understand sometimes people are trying to play gotcha or stuff like that. But if you're a player, certainly of a certain caliber, you can really use the media and this opportunity to answer questions to your advantage, to get your perspective out there, to say how you feel, not to just shut down and not say anything.
Well, and what is his answer? Because I'd love to know why only 4 attempts. Did the team abandon him? Did Edwards and Beverly and the number 0, the guard, D'Angelo Russell. Did they take too many shots? Did they ignore the big man? Is there a rift on the team that way? Because that is one of the things that would pop into your mind when a guy gets only 4 shots. And it does appear to me, and I've said this before, that this team has always been Karl Anthony Towns until maybe the last quarter of the season, where Edwards seems to be the guy they have gone to. Maybe there's a rift there. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns is having a little trouble adjusting to all of that. But only 4 shots, all the foul trouble that he's had, he has to be one of the guys that you would have to look at and say he's the cause. I think the biggest cause last night is Finch for not taking timeouts. They do not play smart. And when you've got a guy, whether you like him or not, Charles Barkley just tells it like it is. And most of the time, and I think this is why he is so successful, most of the time his take is pretty accurate. And he's said this several times now. This is a loaded, talented team that does not play smart. And they did not play smart last night at all. And I don't think it's a good rule, but it's a new thing. So if you've got the lead and the clock doesn't stop until, I guess, the last minute or 2 minutes?
Minute or two, yeah.
So the ball goes through. So the Grizzlies have now, they've come back and they've got like a 5-point lead. Maybe it's even a 7-point lead at this time. And Ja has the ball inbounded to him. And he lets it go. He lets it go. He lets it almost to midcourt. He still lets it go. Clock is ticking. 24-second clock hasn't started. You're getting an additional 15 seconds on that possession off the clock if you've got a lead. Here's where I think, and college basketball needs to do the same thing, because I've seen this happen with that too. They have to make a rule like they used to. You've got to inbound the ball within 10 seconds. So if you don't touch it within 10 seconds, or 5 seconds, 5 count, right? If you don't touch it, then boop, whistle, 5-second call. But they don't do that. They're allowed to let that thing roll and roll until you make them touch it, and then the 24-second shot clock starts. So you're getting, I'm telling you, I know there must have been 15 extra seconds on that possession. That becomes almost a 40-second possession now that you can kill clock.
And it didn't just happen once, which is remarkable that Minnesota, I mean, immaturity is a great word of the day, Dave, because of how immature the Timberwolves are. First of all, to score 12 and a quarter twice, and to allow those types of possessions where you are giving an NBA offense 24 seconds in the half court multiple times in a game. It's like college basketball, a shot clock at that point. It takes 6 seconds to bring the ball up, so you have 30-second shot clock, 24 in the half court. You cannot give professional basketball players 24 seconds to score on you. They're going to score every possession. It's just, I can't, and that's why I have a hard time saying, I mean, Chris Finch certainly one timeout, absolutely, at some point during a run, call a timeout, but also these players, like, have some sense about you. You've got to pressure the ball in the backcourt.
You got to realize that you're losing that precious time.
No doubt.
You're behind.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's also crazy that the Grizzlies could be as bad as they were in the first and the third quarter. And to me, it comes back to shot selection. So we know they're a great point in the paint team. We know they're a great transition fast break team. We know they share the ball and get a lot of assists. We know they're a very average three-point shooting team. And yet in the first quarter, their first 6 shots, I believe, were threes. They were settling for threes, and they were not very accurate from three-point range. And they did the same thing to start the third quarter. So they fall behind early on. What was it, 12-0 right off the bat or 11-0 right off the bat? So they're down in a hole, and it's because they're settling for poor threes. Even if they were getting it to the guys that they count on for threes, they were missing them. Go inside. Make Karl Anthony Towns work a little bit. Get him in early foul trouble. Do something other than settling for that. And they come all the way back by holding the Timberwolves to 12 points in the second quarter. You got a game at the half. It's a 7-point game, and it could have been even better.
It really could have been. It was an unbelievable comeback. And then, you mentioned the first half. Second half comes out, and it seems like the same story all over again. You're like, oh, man,
it's
here we
absolutely
go.
The same thing. And you're down 25 with 3 minutes and 11 seconds left to go in the third. So basically, you're talking about there's 15 minutes left to go in this game. And the Grizzlies end up scoring, 36 points in those 15 minutes?
Yeah.
And holding the other team to like 14? I mean, they held them to 12 in 12 points in the second quarter and 12 points in the fourth quarter.
Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that before. Certainly not in the playoffs. 12 points in a quarter, twice in the same game, and you're up by 22 times? That's unbelievable.
25 2 times.
That's unbelievable.
25 2 times. That is unbelievable. It is. Even Taylor Jenkins said, I don't know how we came back. Nobody did. And, of course, John Miranda's having a lot of fun because they're booing him every time. And Patrick Beverley with that too short thing that he does, because he scored a couple of buckets early, and he's doing that little too short thing. You know what? When it really counted, though, and he had to hit shots at the end, he was too short.
He missed a lot at the end.
So, you know what? And Brevin Knight made a really good point. He was talking about Anthony Edwards. And I think we all know now Anthony Edwards is going to be a great player. He may already be a great player, but he's on the verge of that. But he's like everybody, especially young guys. When the pressure is on, it's a different ballgame. He missed 2 free throws with the pressure on. I'm not sure he hit a 3 attempt with the pressure on. Early in the game when there is no pressure, and what's the word they love to use for Triple J? Playing free, because you're not thinking, you're reacting, there's no pressure. That's a whole different thing than when the game is on the line. Edwards felt the pressure. Beverly's not a good shooter. They can give him threes all day long. That would be my recipe.
He shoots 5 threes every game. We're good. That's a win.
And Karl Anthony Towns keeps taking himself out of the game. I love that the Grizzlies just kept chipping away and never quit. And that is a real talent. And that goes to coaching and keeping your guys believing. No question in my mind about that. But this was a choke job.
Yeah, no, I'm so disappointed in the Timberwolves in this series. I'm so disappointed in them. Because they were so good in the regular season, certainly in this matchup with the Grizzlies. The way that they've choked this game and then quit the last game, quite frankly, down 25. I'm very disappointed in their effort.
Well, and then now last night. My sense of this is, this series is probably over because I think this takes your heart and your soul. But if we look at matchups, and if they somehow get this maturity level, where I don't know where they're going to get it, but maybe they do, because if you look at their talent, this series shouldn't be over. They should win Game 4, even though the Grizzlies are already favored in the game. Grizzlies have been favored in every game.
Every game.
But if they win Game 4, it's on. Then Memphis has to win the home games. Now, both teams have won one game on the other's court. But this one, I got to see them bounce back, because that's the kind of loss that just crushes you.
And you mentioned maturity too, and in terms of mature, like talking about Jaren and himself, or the moment being big, and also talking about how Anthony Edwards feels a little more pressure because it's his first playoff atmosphere like this. Desmond Bane, who's really struggled in the first couple games of this series, last night, so like you said, playing free to get it going, it speaks volume to how quickly he can mature over a short period of time. Last year and this year in the regular season is a huge difference between Desmond Bane, but you're kind of a rookie again when you start the playoffs. It's like you feel that same pressure of this is a new environment, and he shook it off in 3. It took him 3 games to shake off that rust, and he had an incredible performance last night. No doubt a huge reason why they won the game.
If he plays like that every game, it'll be super. I did not think Ja played all that well, particularly in the first half, but he figured it out in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
He was instrumental, and he gets his triple-double. That should be 2 triple-doubles.
Which he was one shy of
in the
last
playoffs.
game.
I mean, and Beverly is doing that. That's
too small.
That's just amazing to me. And we go back, and defense is so critical. That's the second time now in these playoffs that the number 1 rated offensive and pace team in the league was held under 100 points. That's 2 games in a row. If the Grizzlies just abandon this settling for threes early in the game, I think they're going to win the series going away. We'll have to wait and see. Tonight is the football spring game. New offensive coordinators, the quarterback battle. There's depth at the linebacker and the running back position for Memphis. I don't know about the kicking game. Ryan Silverfield has alluded to me, and I know he was a guest with Greg and Eli a little bit ago. I don't know if they talked about this. He's got a punter that he thinks is absolutely top-notch. Kicker, I don't know. So I was at this event yesterday, and Steven Gostowski, who now lives in Nashville, had come in for a golf tournament at Spring Creek, fundraiser for the University of Memphis Athletic Department. And Gotti said, I've told the kid, he's got a great leg. Come work with me. And he's going to come down and maybe work with him a little bit. But that would be outstanding, because if you've got Gostowski coaching you a little bit on the side, that goes a long, long way. Here's a guy who,
knows a thing or two about kicking.
But hey, funny thing, he's getting his master's degree in business. He got 2 really big contracts, so he's not going to have to worry about money. So I guess he's figuring about how he's going to invest it. But he's also now, he was saying to me, thinking about going again back to school, although he's kind of tired of school, but going back to school and getting some psychology degrees to become a sports psychologist. That would be smart. I mean, kicker, and he's a pitcher.
Two of the most head case positions in sports, I would say, kicking and pitching.
He knows. He knows. Anyway, so we'll see what the kicking game is like. My advice to you, if you're coming to the game starts at 7. The Liberty Bowl, Tiger Lane, is going to be crazy because they're setting up for Music Fest. You can only use the tan and silver lots. Get there early, because I got a feeling it is going to be a little nutty. It's also a big night for Tiger basketball. The announcement of Kendrick Davis is coming this evening. I saw Penny at this event yesterday. I asked him about tomorrow night. I said, well, what's going to happen tomorrow night? You know what he did? He smiled big. He goes, it's going to be okay, Wolo. It's going to be okay. So we're going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes with Memphis commercial appeal writer Jason Munz. His beats the Tigers basketball, and he knows what's going on. 2 quick notes. Jay Wright. Now, Jay Wright retired 2 days ago. Of course, I was not on yesterday morning, so I just want to weigh in. I guess it's two things in my mind. First of all, I listened to Seth Greenberg talk about Jay Wright. Jay Wright's another one of those guys who's done really well with business. So money is not an issue. He's 60 years old. He's got a dynasty going there. He's given up that dynasty. So there's only two things that I can think of that would make a guy who's sitting in a catbird position at only 60. It's not 75 like Mike Krzyzewski. It's not 70s like Jim Boeheim, who doesn't give it up. This is 60. My suspicion is he's tired of what's going on with the NIL. The NIL is interesting. Topic for another day. But the NIL is now pitting fundraisers in the athletic department versus coaches in the athletic department for donor money, right? Because in the past, we've always wanted money for facilities, for coaching salaries, for making everything in the department better, attractive. But now you got to have players. You got to have playmakers. And the coaches need that money to be put in the NIL funds that are now every school is doing so that you can get those players. This is a little like pro ball where you've got a player who's a free agent. It's nonstop free agency without contracts, without a salary cap. It's amazing. It's what it is. And I think Jay Wright's going, I don't think I want a part of this. So that it's either that or the Lakers' job is open and maybe he's going to be an NBA coach. I don't know. But there's a reason that we don't know about with Jay Wright at this thing. Final thing before we take our break. Shocking news yesterday. It occurred while we were out at Spring Creek for that event. Former Tiger Athletic Director Tom Bowen stepping down immediately with immediate need for health care issues. So I texted him as quickly as I could, and he appreciated that and said thank you. Did not get any information, but my thoughts and prayers are with Tom and Mia and his whole family, because if you're stepping down at this time of year and you're saying, I'm doing it because I have immediate health needs, it can't be really good. So our prayers to the Tom Bowen family, still residing in Jonesboro, Arkansas, but he is out at Arkansas State. This portion of the show is brought to you by our title sponsor. You know it. It's Homer Skelton Hyundai. Homer Skelton. That is home of fairness, of never taking advantage of the laws of supply and demand. Because they'll tell you straight out, and not every dealer will say this, we never charge more than sticker price. You get a new car, you'll never pay more than sticker price at Homer Skelton Hyundai at the corner of Craft Road, the first exit in Mississippi off Highway 78. That is Lamar in Memphis. Go see my friends. And a reminder, I'm in the Family Leisure Studio. You need to head on over there and start thinking about your outdoor living space because they got pools in stock and a good price right now. All the 2022 patio furniture hits the floor daily. It's state-of-the-art. I just bought myself a brand new table and chairs, and it is really cool. The materials and the designs, outstanding. There are in-stock hot tubs ready for delivery and great deals on play gyms, on those tramps. And let me tell you about trampolines. I always wanted one as a kid. But they really weren't safe. Now they got that mesh around them, safe as can be, and fun. You'll be the hit of the neighborhood. The grills, the outdoor kitchens are the newest thing. Go check it out. I-40 and Whidden Road, Family Leisure. Jason Munz joins us in a second. Will this be a big night for Tiger Hoops? The beat writer for the Tigers and the CA will let us know in just a minute.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The Jeep Celebration event at Ram Truck Month is still going strong at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. Get legendary performance in 2022 Dodge Challenger XST, $398 a month or $32,415. Looking for supercharged and super fast? 2022 Dodge Charger XST, $439 a month or $35,780. And workhorse ready 2022 Ram 1500 Tradesman, $445 a month or $35,890. And don't miss 2021 Fiat 500X, $289 a month, 30 MPG Highway. Plus trade up and get more for your ride at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat. So drive past the rest and come to the best or shop online, GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
months at 3.99, 3,500 down. Must finance through Chrysler Challenger, NH128,583, MSRP 33,415, Charger XST, NH126,525, MSRP 36,780, 1,500, MSRP 39,140, 500X, MP9, 45,5410, MSRP 28,560. Includes all rebates and incentives. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 4/30/2022. Dealer stock only.
Swerving, speeding, and reckless driving can leave you in your own dust. Drag racing has its consequences. You can lose your driving privileges, your vehicle, face jail time, or even lose or take a life. So slow down, Memphis. The life you save may be your own. Brought to you by the Memphis Police Department, Traffic Operations.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Big weekend coming up. It starts tonight. Spring game. Friday Night Lights, they call it. Are you ready? Are you going to stock up? All you got to do is go see my friends at the Spirit Shop. That's quite simple. Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar Avenue. It's right there. You can't beat that. I promise you. Go stock up with the beer. They got all the local IPAs. They've got the Old Dominic Distillery has their product in there. It's all about Memphis. But no, you know there's more. They got everything you could possibly want. Rare wines, rare bourbons, middle ground, up-and-comers. Just get educated by my friend. You know him, Eddie Connor's family's owned it since 1969. It's time to stock up for the weekend, and we got a late game Saturday night with the Grizz. No better way to stock up with the Spirits than to go to the Spirit Shop. And this portion of the game brought to you by Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, that is the home of the Super Tune-Up for $69. You need it twice a year. Now it's time to get your air conditioning tuned up. They check your Freon levels, and then they do the 16 points inside, go outside, and clean up those outside units. It's like taking your whole system to a car wash. And it becomes more efficient. That means you spend less money on your energy bill, and the other part of that is it lasts longer. All you got to do is call 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. Big night also for Tiger basketball. There could be an announcement coming from Kendrick Davis where he's going to go. Last time we talked with Jason Munz, he said 9 out of 10, his confidence level, that the former SMU player would be a Tiger. Penny Hardaway certainly gave me the sense last night that things were going to be positive tonight. Jason Munz, where's your confidence level right now?
Well, first of all, I know the music coming back in from the break was the Eagles, and I know it was a rare Timothy Schmidt where he was on lead vocals, but I can't for the life of me remember the name of the song. So that's bugging me. Anyway, sorry.
You know what? We're going to find that out for you because I want you, when you are through with this show every week, that you have peace of mind. I want you to have it's peaceful, easy feeling. What's the name of that song?
Yeah.
Is it Peaceful, Easy Feeling? That's an Eagles song.
Peaceful, easy, yes. Another great one.
Because I got a peaceful, easy feeling. And I know you won't let me down.
That's right. And perfect segue. You're a true pro. And I don't think that Memphis fans are going to be let down tonight. Yeah, I said last week at 9. I upped it to 9.5.
Woo.
I think on Monday. I'm sitting here today. I'm like at a 9.7, 9.8.
Woo.
It's based on what I'm hearing, it's right there. It's right there, man.
Could we hear before the weekend's out any other news?
I would say there is a very strong possibility of that happening as well. Yes. I fully anticipate. Now this part I'm less confident on. But still reasonably confident. I would say, like an 8 or a 9 at this point, that there will be another domino that falls in the aftermath of what happens tonight, what I think is going to happen, what I believe is going to happen tonight. So yes, I do think, and I would say probably as early as tomorrow morning.
Can you, without being too specific, but can you give us a position maybe, or what your sense is? That could this be another leaving for more coming, or what is your 8 confidence level about?
It is about another guard. I mean, I'll even go. Here's the deal. I don't think it's any coincidence. I think that we'll have sort of a repeat of sorts of how things played out with the official visit. You had Kendrick Davis come in here on an official visit, and then right behind him you had Caleb Murphy, the South Florida guard,
who's really good.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's super athletic and very explosive. He's getting better as a sort of seeing the big picture. I think his freshman year he played. There were flashes of really good things, but he was very raw, I thought. He put up 20 on Memphis in a game where he put Moussa Cisse on a poster in the second half of that game. And so there were some really exciting things that he showed he can be a very exciting player. But I think this year, even though pretty much all his numbers went up, he scored like 8.5 as a freshman. He scored 11.5 this year. His assist numbers went up a little bit. His rebounding numbers went up a little bit. So I think he's becoming more of a complete player, more of a just sort of, he's fine-tuning his game. He did this year, even though, he's still not a very good three-point shooter. He doesn't shoot much. He was 6 of 30 his freshman year, 6 of 31 this year. So at least he's consistent, right? But
the other aspect of that is, you mentioned he's athletic, but he's also big.
He is, yeah. Oh, he's a load. He's 6'4", I think.
Yeah.
6'4", like 190, 185.
So
like
you
that.
think about this, you are getting Davis, and he's not diminutive by any standard, but he's not tall. But he's pretty stout, really.
Yeah.
You think he's really lean, but then you look at him. No, he's a pretty stout guy. Davis is, but Murphy's big, and the kid they signed from Georgia Southern is another big guy. He's like Earl Timberlake, kind of bulky, right? In that part of his deal. So he's going to big guards. What do you think that does with Alo? Are they set right there? Is Jonathan Lawson a guard, or is he a wing player? How will Penny work with that?
That's a really good question. I think that's going to be one of the big questions going in as far as what Jonathan Lawson's role is going to be. I think he's certainly capable of being, of backing up 1 through 3 at least. Like maybe even 4. I mean, he grew some, I think, from the time that he enrolled until now, and so I don't think he would, in certain matchups, in certain situations, I don't think he would be out of place if he was, guarding the 4 or, playing the 4 on offense. And so, but I do, I think the majority of his responsibilities are going to be 1 through 3. And so, I think that is a very clear indication of what Penny Hardaway is trying to do. He's trying to get bigger. He's trying to get better. And I think that what he's done so far, well, or what I expect will end up happening, will, he'll accomplish that goal. And as far as what it means for Alex Lomax, it's just really, really tough to say. I mean, and I think it's largely up to him. Does he move on with his career? Does he seek some sort of professional opportunity? Does he decide it's time to maybe, because I think he's got a very, very bright future as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that he couldn't go make some money somewhere playing basketball as a professional. I think he's got some years to do that as well. But, if Kendrick Davis ends up coming to Memphis, if Caleb Murphy ends up coming to Memphis, if Jonathan Lawson stays, which I've been given no indication whatsoever that he's not, you got Elijah McCadden coming in. It is starting to feel like maybe that senior day that Alex Lomax walked on is actually going to be a senior day.
About that, there's been discussion that the one thing Penny maybe did wrong in this Tyler Harris deal was that he did not have him go through senior day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember clearly Penny saying on the air, on the network, that he gave every one of those guys that were seniors the opportunity to have senior night, and they all turned him down at first, and then Alo went back and said, "You know what? I'm wrong. I want to have senior night." So that he was the only guy, but every one of them could have. Now you could make the argument that Penny should have said, "But you're not going to be around next year, so here's your last chance." I have no idea what that discussion was like, so I really can't speculate. But
sure,
what is your sense? Do you think Penny is giving Tyler Harris a raw deal?
I don't know. It's not. I think any objective observer could look at it and say this was not the ideal way for this to play out. This is not. This doesn't feel good, and for somebody who's made a lot of people feel good during his Memphis career, you could certainly make the argument that he might have, that he probably deserved a better ending, a more fitting ending, I guess, to his Memphis career. But at the same time, as you said, we don't know everything there is to know. We've only heard one side of this. We've heard the Tyler Harris side of this. We don't know what Penny's thinking and why Penny. We don't even know that Penny actually did what Tyler alluded to in his farewell message, that it wasn't his decision. We don't, we haven't heard Penny say, "Yeah, that's right."
And you might not.
We haven't gotten his.
And you might not.
That's true. And so anyway, I don't know. It is a very, very clunky situation and unfortunate and not ideal. But I don't know that I would place any blame necessarily on anybody. I think if it was Penny's decision to say, it's time for us to move on, let's part ways, well, then I'm sure he had his reasons. Who's to say that his reason for doing that is wrong? I don't think I'm in any position to judge, so I'm not going to.
Last thing. All right, so let's just say Davis and Murphy with I keep forgetting is it
McCadden?
McCadden.
Mm-hmm.
You still need a big guy. Maybe DeAndre Williams is going to come back. I kind of think he will. I don't know about Lester Quinones. He could come back as well. But what about this kid Broom? Where's the next big guy going to come from?
Well, I think that is going to become clear as we get into next week.
Next week. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Broom is certainly a possibility until that ship actually sails. Then I think it's hard to say that door is closed. But there are other guys that Memphis is looking at, and there are other guys that are in the portal that might think they're going pro, that might either change their mind or whatever, or maybe they decide ultimately that they would rather spend one more year in college. I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking specifically about guys like Kenny Lofton Jr. from Louisiana Tech. I mean, I think that he's probably leaning towards staying in the draft, but you never know until you get past that deadline. Another guy that I think Memphis would love is KJ Williams from Murray State, 6'10" guy, who's in the draft also, but also in the transfer portal. And he's by the way, he's from right down the road in Cleveland, Mississippi. So I think that's a name you might want to keep an eye on.
DJ Jeffries, I guess you keep your eye on him too, right?
I would certainly keep your eye on him as well. But then I would think that there's probably one more big that's not in the transfer portal yet that you might hear something about at some point next week.
Whoa. You could get are you leaving us with that?
I unfortunately I think I have to.
Okay. So you know what? Being the pro that I am, putting all of this together, the name of the Eagles song you wanted to know is I Can't Tell You Why.
I can't tell you why. That's right.
And you're just saying I can't tell you.
That's right. I can't tell you why. I have to leave you on that note.
Perfect.
But there you go. Yeah.
Perfect.
Fitting way.
We'll talk next week. Thank you, Jason.
Right. Thanks,
Have a great weekend. That is Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal. He is brought to you in part by Miramichi. Oh yeah, that's the place you go. You're gonna go if you're a senior. During the weekdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you play for $33. This beautiful golf course on 330 acres of natural beauty. The back nine is like taking a walk through the woods with a meandering stream. I mean, it's something else. And you can play it for $33. Even standard weekend rates are reasonable because you're going to get practice facilities, complimentary golf balls on the range. You get your cart all thrown in. It's as low as $49.50 tomorrow and Sunday. You just can't beat any of that. Not with this golf course, which Golf Week said, if you're playing golf in the state of Tennessee, you got to play Miramichi. While you're out there, by the way, you may hear somebody with a consistent scream of 4. That's Sheldon. Sheldon Rosengarten, Marks and Bensdorf, known as the worst golfer in town, also known as Mr. Three-Putt, Mr. Double Bogeys, Mr. Separate Checks. What a guy he is. He doesn't spend his time perfecting his golf game. He spends his time representing his clients and selling their homes for the very best prices with strategy that no one else has. Nobody's got Shellbucks. That strategic marketing program so successful, people say when you want the job done, you call Sheldon. He's the only agent you'll ever meet that says interview 2 or 3 other real estate brokers, but make sure you make him one of them, because he will sell your house. He'll guide you about what to do to get the best price, and he'll do it in the best time. Remember, get a better bottom line when you call Sheldon. Sheldon Rosengarten, 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com at Marks Bensdorf. We take a final time out here. When we come back, NBA with our agent, Andy Schiffman. He's from Priority Sports in Chicago, and he comes your way in just a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Let's say you need a new car, so you go to a dealer, right? Wrong. You need to go to Mount Moriah Auto Sales. Why? Because why limit yourself to just one kind of car when you can choose from all kinds of cars, SUVs, and trucks? All different years, all different makes, all different models. Really good prices, too. Now, everyone says that about the money, but Mount Moriah Auto Sales proves it. They work hard to get you the deal you want, even financing. Plus, they have a huge full-service department to help you take care of your car. So many choices at Mount Moriah Auto Sales. They're almost unlimited with new vehicles coming in every day. Now, these are really good cars and trucks and SUVs that you'll want to drive. And yes, low miles too. It's so easy. Just go to Mount Moriah Auto Sales, tell them what you want, but keep your eyes open because you might just find the car of your dreams. Mount Moriah Auto Sales makes it all possible. Go to MountMoriahAutoSales.com. Mount Moriah Auto Sales, right on the corner, right on the price, right on Mount Moriah.
For years, I have talked to you about James Davis, the finest men's store in all of Memphis, the service, the selection, everything that goes with quality. And I've told you recently about the Stant Perfect Fit shirts. Well, now there's the Stant Perfect Fit pants. Absolutely amazing. Only 2 measurements fed into a computer, and all of a sudden, you've got the perfect fit pants. I'm talking everywhere. The leg, the seat, the bottom, all made to fit your body absolutely perfectly. And there's 80 different fabrics to choose from. You will find the right look, the right fit, almost instantaneously. They start at $162, but you will never find a better pair of pants than these at James Davis Men's Store. And the shirts are still there, and guess what? It's the only place in Memphis that you can find Stant. That's the James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
New Chicago we go. Our friend from Priority Sports, the one and only Andy Schiffman, joins us now. Have you ever seen a comeback like that? Well, we actually have a few years ago. The Clippers did it to Memphis.
I was about to say, unfortunately, we've been on the other side of that as Grizzlies fans years ago. I think it was actually might have been the first year I moved to Chicago. Former Priority Sports client Nick Young went off in that one, and current Priority Sports client Brandon Clark saved the season. I told him last night, so that was great to watch.
Oh, he did. He and Tyus Jones were remarkable, and if there's one thing in the series that I thought Memphis did have the advantage of, I think they've got more tools in their tool drawer than the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves have those big 3 really good players, whereas the Grizzlies starters, they got 2. I think if we go star power, other than Ja, probably the nod goes to the Timberwolves, but really total depth, don't you think that's Memphis?
Oh, absolutely. I've said that all season. I think a lot of players recognize that. They are a very, very deep team, and you could even see changing out Steven Adams for Kyle Anderson. You're still coming away with a huge road victory. They were down, 26 points at one point, and then later 25 points in addition to that. Finished the game on a 46-14 run. At one point, I think in the fourth quarter, they were outscoring the Timberwolves 21-2 or went on a 21-0 run.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then another fun stat I just saw this morning. So Brandon, our guy here at Priority, he's the first player to score 20 points off the bench in a Grizzlies playoff game since 2016, since another current Priority Sports client, Lance Stevenson, in his short stint with the Grizzlies, did that back in 2016. So, but to your point, absolutely, the Grizzlies are so deep, and you saw that when Ja was out for different points in the season, how other players could step up. Desmond Bain is capable of going off for 6, 7, 8 threes on any given night. Obviously, Jaren, you've got Xavier Tillman stepping up and making big plays. Tyus Jones, obviously, we talked about. The list goes on, and it's just who's next? Who's next up to make key plays? There's no egos on this team. There's no disputing the star power of Anthony Edwards and of Karl Anthony Towns, but they absolutely shut down Karl Anthony Towns last night, and that was great to see.
What do you think happened there? He only got 4 shots and wouldn't talk about it in the post-game press conference. What's going through his mind?
That's a good question. A seasoned veteran, an all-star like that's just obviously had a terrific season. You don't really see that too often. Look, you get this in golf when they say you have the yips. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns had the yips. Maybe it's got to be a mental thing. But it's on the one hand, it's very surprising to see for a player of that stature to go and have a game in a clutch point in the season like he did. But on the other hand, let's not just all say it was all Karl Anthony just, messing up, whatever the case may be. Credit to the Grizzlies. Credit to their defense. Credit to their never say die attitude. I think the boos for Ja and just the overall animosity for the Grizzlies when they're out on the road only fuels them more.
Do you think maybe part of this is it's becoming Anthony Edwards' team, or Russell was taking shots? Even Patrick Beverly, who shouldn't be shooting threes, is taking threes, and instead of the ball going into Karl Anthony Towns, they're going elsewhere. Is that a part of the problem with this team?
Well, I don't know if it's part of the problem. That really hasn't come to the surface at any point during the season, at least out in the media and out in the public. A lot of times you hear these teams going through ups and downs, and there's a lot of turmoil in the locker room, and inevitably that seems to always get leaked to the media. I never really heard that with Minnesota. You don't really get that feeling out of their locker room between those guys. I'm going to chalk it up to just it being a one-off, and it was just mostly last night and other guys trying to make an impact, especially when the bleeding started and couldn't stop, when the Grizzlies started making their run. We'll see what happens Saturday. We'll see how they come out. They're obviously going to have to make adjustments. There's no doubt about that. But are those adjustments strong enough to overcome the Grizzlies' defense? I don't know. I like I said, you and I have talked about this for the last couple of weeks. I was always a little bit fearful and hesitant with Minnesota playing the Grizzlies in the first round. They're a very good team. Obviously, you saw that in Game 1. You saw that for the majority last night. But the Grizzlies do what the Grizzlies do. They're a very well-coached, defensive-minded, resilient team. There's, like I said, different players stepping up every possession. The ball moves. It's just find the open man and make the right play. And that's hard to overcome when you're playing that level of basketball.
Well, if I were Chris Finch, two adjustments I'd make would be, 1, get that ball to Karl Anthony Towns. 2, learn how to call a timeout. 21-0 run.
That's absolutely. How do you not call a timeout?
I have no.
That's basketball 101.
Idea. Do you think that seals it for the Grizz because that kind of saps your soul when you lose a game like that, or are we just in the middle? What could be a long series?
Well, I don't think it seals it because, look, you still are at home on Saturday if you're Minnesota. That's going to give you some positive momentum. The crowd is absolutely going to be behind Minnesota. So I think they're going to come out rejuvenated for sure. See, it's interesting, right? Does that do more damage psychologically if you're a Timberwolves team, losing as you lost last night? Or what would do more damage potentially would it going out there and getting blown out by 40 on your home court? I mean, probably the former, knowing that you've got this game wrapped up, probably on 2 different occasions, at least thinking that way. But I don't for one second count the Timberwolves out at this point.
Yeah,
now, look,
I agree with that.
If the Grizzlies win Saturday in Minnesota and make it a 3-1 series, it's going to be very, very difficult. You don't really see that often, obviously, in sports in general, but especially going back to Memphis for what would be, a Game 5 at that point? That's going to be really tough to overcome. And even if they can steal Game 5, I still think the Grizzlies are going to finish up the series and win.
To answer your question, if the Grizzlies had blown them out by 40 after beating them by 30, they'd be going, we can't beat this team. You lose by 9 after you blow a 26-point lead and a 25-point lead with 15 minutes to go in the game, then you're going, we blew the game. We can beat them. And that's what if I were Chris Finch, that is what I would be saying. We got so many different, and we're out of time, of course, but it looks like Golden State's going to be the team that either Memphis or Minnesota is going to play. They've got their games.
That's surprising. I can't believe they're up 3-0.
Yeah.
With Steph coming off the bench, too.
Isn't that crazy? And how about Phoenix losing at home to New Orleans? That's wild.
They could be done with no Devin Booker. Phoenix is in trouble, I'll tell you that. No Devin Booker for at least the next foreseeable couple of weeks. That spells trouble.
What about Middleton and Milwaukee losing? Here's Milwaukee. This is why you got to be careful. Milwaukee ducked Brooklyn. They ducked them.
Mm-hmm.
Boston's up 2-love on them.
Yeah.
They ducked them, and now because they wanted to play Chicago, and now Chicago beats them in Milwaukee.
Wouldn't that be something that the Bulls can come away with this series win? I don't count the Bucks out, even without Middleton. I would still venture to bet that the Bucks are going to win the series. But wow, wouldn't that be something? You purposely lose these final games for playoff positioning to avoid Brooklyn, and you end up losing to the Bulls. Wouldn't mind seeing that.
Be fun. Andy Schiffman, as always, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next Friday. We'll know a little bit more.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
That's our priority sports agent in Chicago. That is Andy Schiffman. If you're going to the Tiger game tonight, you're going to do a little tailgate and get there early and think about Poppy's Pills. You know about Poppy's Pills by now. That's the Pilsner that has taken Memphis really by storm. It's a local beer. It's from Memphis. It's from Grind City. Our good friends at the Grind City Brewing. I love their brewery, the way they have it set up with that great expand. I mean, it's just a beautiful place. Just like their Pilsner, light, crisp, and refreshing. Ultra crushable. Available in 6-packs or 15-packs. And I can tell you, because I think I got this from John Harden, who is a imbiber. He says, drink it ice cold. And I'm in agreement with him. Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner from Grind City Brewing. Take it tonight to Tiger Lane. We'll see you there. We thank Jason Munz. We thank Andy Schiffman. Yes, sir. Johnny Radio is next. Have a great weekend, everybody.
I know the sweetest thing